Hi there, Jiabin. Nice to see that you have sent us your first set of essays. I'm very happy to see that you're working with us and you're preparing for IELTS so diligently. So let's take a look at what you've written in this first set. The first essay is about schools being more entertaining, so let's see what you wrote here. The notion that the function of a school is purely delivering knowledge is under great challenge, and more people claim that schools should incorporate entertaining activities into their curriculums. I believe that entertaining contents in schools can contribute a lot to the mental health and academic outcomes of students. This essay will discuss this issue and use examples from Australia and Korea to demonstrate points and prove arguments. Lovely. I don't really have any corrections that I'd like to make here. I thought you did a very nice job. Your viewpoint is clear. You rephrased the task very nicely. You used the template really well, so no problem so far. Let's take a look at what you wrote in your body paragraphs. Firstly, entertaining subjects in school can greatly promote students' mental health well-being. Well, usually we say well-being or mental health, not both. So pick one expression or the other. This is largely because the conventional teaching approach always makes young students feel, let's look at the word stressful. It's kind of like interesting and interested. So stressful is something that creates the feeling, and stressed is how we feel as a result, okay? So that's what you wanted here, not stressful. A situation is stressful, and as a result, we feel stressed. So always makes young people feel stressed, which often leads to serious mental diseases. For example, a recent research conducted by the Australian government shows that nearly 25% of Australian youngsters suffer from anxiety and depression, ION, and most of them claim the stressful school life as the reason for their sufferings. Therefore, it is necessary for schools to develop more entertaining curriculums to reduce students' stresses. Okay, it's good. Okay, apart from those little things that we corrected, it's good, but I was hoping you would talk a little bit more about this idea of entertaining lessons and not what happens in the absence of them. Okay? Let's see. That's pretty much it. I mean, so you were kind of arguing the absence of what we need is problematic, and then so it's like, so therefore we need this thing that we need. That's not really the best way to go about it. If you're going to be talking about why we should have more entertainment in schools, then you should focus on this area, okay? You should have at least included it somewhere, like how these entertaining activities are helpful. You know, maybe instead of that students feel stressed with conventional teaching, you could have said that when there are breaks that have entertaining activities and like lighthearted entertainment, students feel 25% less stressed. Okay, so that would have been more effective for me. Let's move on. Secondly, teaching in an entertaining approach can significantly improve learners' efficiency. This is due to the fact that young students are more likely to get distracted when the class is less interesting. For example, in South Korea, it is increasingly common that teachers introduce games into their language classes. In this way, Korean students' language ability no, it's not the ability that outperforms, but it's the students that outperform. So let's try that again. In this way, Korean students outperform their Japanese counterparts in language ability. Okay? Thus, entertaining activities can enhance the learning outcomes and equip students with better knowledge and skills. All right, here you did a little more with this idea of entertainment, and I like the fact that you talked about games. That was appropriate. You still talked about, you know, what happens when you don't have entertaining lessons. So you could have again shifted this to talk about what happens when you do have entertaining lessons. So for example, students are more likely to focus when the class is enjoyable and lighthearted and entertaining. All right, would have been more appropriate. So To conclude from the examples and arguments given, I firmly believe that schools need to be more entertaining to address students' mental health issues and improve their study efficiency. All right, that's fine. So you've really used the template very nicely. I thought you did a really great job for your first essay. I just want to do a quick, yep, it was 260 words, so no problems there. Okay, so nice job. Now let's take a look at your second essay, which is right here. About doing an enjoyable activity with a child. Let's see what you said. It is critical for one to develop various skills, ranging from cognitive abilities to active skills, at an, here you need an an, early age. I believe that enjoyable activities can promote a range of abilities which cannot be achieved by reading alone. In this essay, we'll discuss this issue and use examples from video games and sports to demonstrate points and prove arguments. Okay, fine. Firstly, playing video games can assist a child to develop better cognitive abilities. This is largely because these games can create virtual spaces for children to explore and complete missions. For example, a recent research, well, we don't say a recent research. Research is uncountable, and so we use it without the a. Instead, if you wanted to use an article, you could say a recent study, and that would be okay. But with research, we just say recent research. So, recent research carried out by Harvard indicates that children who play video games 2 hours a week outperform those who do not play in a test of spatial awareness. Careful with your typing. Therefore, video games can play a more positive role in promoting children's cognitive competence than reading can. All right? You need to use the same helping verb here. Okay, so cognitive abilities, spatial awareness, cognitive competence. Okay, fine. Let's move on. Secondly, physical activities can greatly improve one's active skills, which are impossible to, no, I guess I get, okay, you have to say is, I suppose, which is impossible to achieve by reading books, not be achieved, but which is impossible to achieve. This is due to the fact that children need to use their bodies and minds. This is a strange word. It's not the word you want. I know what word you want, but it's not coming to me right now, I'm afraid. I apologize. I'm drawing a blank. You want to say that you use them like in combination, but not coordinately. That's the wrong word. While this coordination can hardly be exercised by just reading. For instance, a recent study by the British Football Council shows that youngsters engaged in sports training regularly spend 20% less time on learning other coordination-involved skills, such as driving, than their counterparts. As a consequence, a child can benefit more from physical activities. Okay. To conclude from the examples and arguments given, enjoyable activities such as video games and sports have more potential to facilitate a comprehensive skill set for a child than reading alone. All right. I like the fact that you used reading throughout. You mentioned it briefly here. You mentioned it a little more here, and I like that you did that. And you mentioned again in your conclusion. You could have potentially mentioned reading a little more to kind of really hammer home this comparison. Okay, that was one thing you could have done. But there's something here which concerns me a little more. I want you to look at the task with me again. It says, doing an enjoyable activity with a child can develop better skills. So where did you talk about those skills? Here you talked about cognitive abilities, and here you talked about active skills like coordination. But that's not the only thing the essay is asking you to talk about. It's asking you to talk about more creativity. And they're not even suggesting that maybe you could talk about more creativity, but they're telling you they absolutely want you to because they have an and here. So you needed to talk about creativity. In fact, I would go so far as to suggest that you need a paragraph about better skills and a separate paragraph about creativity. All right, and how an enjoyable activity can develop these two separate things. So what that means is that an examiner looking at this is going to mark this down because you did not talk about creativity. And that would really be a shame because it was well written. I mean, it reads very easily, it flows, it's cohesive. A lot of the grammar is very accurate, a lot of nice, high-level, natural-sounding vocabulary. But it's really, really important to absolutely be certain that you're answering all the parts of the questions, because when you don't, it is going to decrease your score. That said, I'm actually very happy with this first set of essays. I thought you did really, really, really well. This is a great starting point. So, I mean, if this is where we're starting, then, you know, I think that you're going to see really great results very, very quickly. Okay, so let's talk about what you need to do now. The first thing you need to do is correct these based on my suggestions. The second thing you need to do is create an error correction list. So write down the mistakes you made, and then next to each mistake, what the correct version is. And then the third thing you need to do is write, of course, a new set of essays, your next set. And send all of these three things back to us. Just so we can check that you've been doing it. All right. The error correction and the corrected essay are really for your benefit, but just send them to us so we can know that you've done them. All right. So try to get this all done in the next day or so you can really keep up your momentum. And I will be looking forward to your next set of essays. Good luck.